Hello everyone and welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name's LeBron and welcome to the show. And in today's episode, we'll be going over my spoiler-filled review of WandaVision. So now that the show has ended, again, I'm going to say this is my spoiler-filled review. So if you haven't watched WandaVision yet, A, what are you doing? Go watch WandaVision. And B, be aware, I'm talking a ton of spoilers now. So into the spoilers. Now, for some of you who are new to this channel, you might not know this, but I've actually already made a video on WandaVision. It was why you should watch WandaVision. It was actually the first video of this channel. So if you wanna watch that, link in the description below. But if you did end up seeing my previous video on WandaVision, you might have remembered a lot of praise I was giving this show. But now that the show is at its completion, I have to say, my opinion has changed. But before we get into how my opinion has changed and why, I want to touch on something really quick that fans of the show might be upset about, and that's theories. For those of you who don't know, usually when a Marvel film comes out, there is an overwhelming amount of fan theories that also come out. And in my opinion, that has never been more true than with this show. Now, don't get me wrong, theories are a lot of fun, but in no way, shape, or form do they affect my review. Now let's talk about what I think the biggest problem with this show is, and that is definitely the final episode. The final episode of the show comes out of nowhere and is so tonally inconsistent. With the majority of the show being a sort of drama mystery, really focusing on the relationship between Wanda and Vision, this final episode comes out of nowhere. And on top of all of it, there are some pretty good ideas in this final episode, but they all seem so rushed through. And honestly, the way that I see it is that if you were able to rush through it, did it really need to be there in the first place? And with the majority of these problems being in the final episode alone, it feels like the whole show was just poorly planned. Now I'm about to get into some examples here, so again, spoilers. Now the first example I want to get into here is definitely Agnes. Now throughout the show, Agnes is a great character. Along with being very charismatic and entertaining, there's also a great level of mystery around her character. And what you come to find out towards the end of the show is that Agnes is actually the big bad, or as the show likes to put it, messing up everything. It's been Agatha all along. But besides a catchy song, all that we really know about Agatha is that she was alive during the Salem witch trials and she wants Wanda's powers. And that's it. We don't know anything else. We don't know where she's been, how she got here, why she wants Wanda's powers, what her plan even is. Which, by the way, what is her plan? Now I understand that the show is supposed to be isolated from the rest of the Marvel Universe, but does she know that? Like, who told her that? Seriously, what would she have done if, I don't know, the Avengers showed up? Did it even cross her mind that maybe one of these super-powered friends of the lady she's trying to kill might show up and, I don't know, blow her up? Like, what would she have done if War Machine just started dropping missiles? Or if even the Falcon showed up and did this? And if you guys are thinking, oh, LeBron, what about the big magic barrier that surrounds the town? How are they gonna get in? And you know what? That's a fair point. That's a fair point, my friend. It's not like they have a sorcerer supreme who will take her ass and throw her into another dimension. Or what if, I don't know, the super being who's trapped in the world with her decided just to take her head off? If Vision can do this, then he can sure hell's well beat her ass. I mean, look at her. She looks ridiculous. Someone who looks like this does not have a plan. What the fuck are you wearing? You know what? Who cares? I hate it, I hate her, hate myself, moving on. Now this next one I feel like some of you guys might have already figured out, but despite the fact that this show is called WandaVision, it's really the Wanda show. After getting shafted in every movie he's in, he doesn't really get a lot to do in this episode. I mean, seriously, the man's name is in the title, but in this episode he's reduced to just flying at things in the background. And I've also heard a lot of people talk about this library scene like it's a good one. But this is a perfect example of the show having a good idea and then rushing through it. This scene is only 3 minutes long. It's not even 3 minutes straight. It gets interrupted by this jackass trying to shoot some kids. Look, I'm not saying this needed to be the entire episode, but I just don't understand why it was cut so short. I mean, why have the other Vision show up in the first place if he's gonna talk about a boat for 3 minutes and then fly away for the rest of the show? Them having this conversation in the first place doesn't even make any sense. The White Vision said his prime directive was to kill Vision, not to sit in a library and talk about how they both love brain puzzles.
You are familiar with the thought experiment that ship of Theseus in the field of identity metaphysics? Naturally.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup!
Why not just have these two characters talk throughout the episode, with it constantly going back to them talking about different things? It could even take a while for the good Vision to get the bad Vision to listen to him. It's not like they had Vision doing anything else in this episode. This is a waste of a character and waste of runtime. Moving on. Now, when hearing the announcement for this show, there was a small part of me that was worried that this whole show was just going to be a commercial for other Marvel movies. And then upon watching this show, I was pleasantly surprised with it having new and creative ideas and being super entertaining. But then, of course, leave it up to Marvel to wait until the last episode to reveal it was a commercial the whole time. So that just in case you were wondering to yourself, oh, I wonder what happens to Vision now that he's back. Oh, no, he's gone into the next movie? Oh, well then maybe Agnes, she seemed to know something about Wanda's. Oh no, they're not gonna explain that either. Next movie? Okay. Oh, but then what about Monica? Maybe we'll find out about her powers? No, are you fucking kidding me? What do you mean some broccoli lady sent her to space? Well, I guess it's a good thing that I watched Captain Marvel to know that the broccoli is in fact a Skrull. It's also a good thing that I saw Far From Home, otherwise I'd think that she's gonna send her to Jesus. But that's probably enough of me trashing this show. Honestly guys, I think that just because the finale isn't that great doesn't mean it ruins the entirety of the show. Which in this case, I have to admit is true. With that, let's get right into some of the things that I did like about this show. And right off the bat, the absolute best thing about this show, in my opinion, is the relationship between Wanda and Vision. Now, if there's anything this show absolutely did well, it's making these two people's relationship believable. In the movies, it's mainly implied that these two people like each other. And then in Infinity War, we sort of see them dating at the beginning of the movie, but that's really it. It never really gets fleshed out properly. And with this show, that seems to be the main focus. I mean, seriously, in this show, their relationship gets put through the ringer. In the first few episodes, you can really feel that they're just happy to be with each other. Even when Vision starts putting together what's actually happening in this world, sure, they get into a fight or two, but it's his love for Wanda that brings him back. It really relays to us that regardless of all the crazy things that is happening, he's just happy to be with her. And for Wanda, it's her love for Vision that starts this whole show. What you find out in later episodes is that this entire reality is made from Wanda. It was her love for Vision that drove her to create this entire universe where Vision was still alive. And another thing that I liked about this show is, of course, the sort of time periods they skip through. With each episode being filmed in a different time period, the show can get really immersive. And another thing that this show definitely made me like was Wanda's little hex thing that she does. Where the first time we see her do this in Age of Ultron, it seems just like a bad editing choice. But where in this show, it feels more like her signature move. And I know that in both of my videos about this show, I have basically avoided the entire B-plot that is happening outside of the world that Wanda created. But honestly, I just don't really have a lot to say about it. With Monica's character just basically being a setup for a different movie, and then an antagonist whose only character trait is that he is the villain, it just all comes off as a little boring. But of course, I will admit that Darcy, who is honestly one of the worst things about the Thor movies, she's not that bad in this. I can honestly say that I enjoyed her character in this show. And my man, Jimmy Woo.
James E. Woo, FBI.
Now mainly I think this is the actor and not so much the character, but Jimmy Woo is super fun to watch on screen. Rumors of him getting a sort of X-Files style show, but about the Marvel Universe, I'm not gonna lie, I'd watch 10 seasons of that. 100 episodes.
Rick and Morty forever and forever 100 years. Rick and Morty some things.
And that's really it. That's my full review of the show. Now, I bet you're wondering, what about my opinion has changed? I said at one point, if you weren't keeping up with the Marvel Universe as a whole, you'd probably enjoy the show more than someone who was keeping up with the entire franchise. And now that I've seen the final episode, if you're not keeping up with the entire franchise, you're gonna be left with a lot of questions. There's so many things that are brought up in this show that are gonna be solved in later movies. So if you're honestly not interested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you can skip this. But if I have to give this show a score, I guess I can give it a 7 out of 10. Who am I kidding? I love this stupid universe. 10 out of 10, I'll watch these things until I die. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. You like that? Learned it.